to make sure that this is working properly first. Get that out. Get off the screen for a second. Right. If I can be heard clearly. Just speak, Cal, so we can actually make sure your audio's coming through clear.
Yeah, hello, people of the universe. I am back.
Yep, we are good. We are good. Right, we can now officially get this stream up and running. Welcome everyone to round number 18 of RFL, coming to you from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada by the St. Lawrence River. And I'm welcoming back my co-com, having missed a few weeks because of IRL, real life stuff going on. Welcome back, Cal.
Yeah, thank you. It is good to be back, and let's hope it's going to be an exciting race for us all to witness.
Indeed. So, after last week's results, in which case we saw, I believe it was, if I can see anything, which I can't see that just now, annoyingly. Vapid still leads the championship in the Williams on 185 points. It is Scott and only about 30 points behind him in the Williams, 155.5 points. Then it is Angelo, who's now in third place in the Ferrari, 112.5 points. Then it is Tom Gorian, obviously, in P4 and then P5 for both the Alpines, Tom Gorian and Kirby, 102 points and 83.5. Obviously, we've seen TMS Sora, who I believe is not here this week, so good to know on that front for Kirby. That allows Checo to catch up as well, who's only a few points behind, and the only remaining Aston Martin left in this season. And then we have to go a bit further and find the other driver. Shot Medal, obviously, we've seen he has faltered a little bit recently with not being on the podium since the result in Mexico, but has still got some decent results. Now in 57 points down in P10, and then there are a few other people a bit further down that will be looking for better results. But Cal, obviously, I don't know if you would have had a chance to catch up with the results from the last sort of 2 weeks or so, but do you reckon that Vapid has this championship now in the bag with only, I'd say, about maybe 4 or 5 rounds left to go in this entire season?
Well, yeah, obviously he's still in the leads, and he's obviously got the advantage, but we all know that absolutely anything could happen in these last few rounds, so there's definitely still a chance of a turnaround and for someone else to win, but he is in the prime position, obviously, to clinch the championships. So let's see if he's able to extend his lead, or if his challengers can close up to him for the last few races.
Indeed, I think closest one is Scott at the moment, who has had some indifferent results as of recently. We know Scott is a quick driver in the Haas, and I believe he's the only one. Oh, it's Stig, who's also, I believe, a new driver this week in the Haas alongside him. And from murmurings in the paddock, we have some potential that Stig could be quite quick, so there could be a good combination there between the two of them. We'll have to see how Stig gets on in his first race in the league. We'll be interested to see how he gets on. But while we wait for the drivers still everyone to get back into the lobby, we'll look at the constructors. Williams, of course, still leading that on 214 points, but Alpine are closing up, 196.5 points. So not much between first and second. Obviously, Haas a little bit further back, and then it's only a point between Mercedes and Aston Martin. Obviously, Aston Martin with only one active driver at this moment in time. Then it's Aston Martin, obviously Aston Martin being carried majorly by Shot Medal as of recently with his decent results. It's P7 for Ferrari, 125.5 points. Most of that Angelissimo carrying that team. Red Bull on 108, I believe, hasn't seen a score in the last few weeks. AlphaTauri on 99 and McLaren on 96. But once again, Cal, very close battle in the Constructors' Championship. This one probably will go down the last few races, but be interested to know get your take on who you think is actually going to get the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've had a very interesting battle in the constructors. We've had some teams with both drivers being consistent. However, other teams we've seen one driver produce the majority of the points for their respective teams. So if indeed the new Haas driver, for example, TRL Stig, if they're a quick driver, that could really help Haas's cause in the fight for second and possibly first as well. So we could see a very interesting battle in these last few rounds.
Indeed, obviously, looking at a little bit of real life stuff to do with Canada itself, obviously a mainstay on the F1 calendar, but obviously you've done a fair few league races around here yourself, Cal, but what is your sort of take really from the Canadian Grand Prix?
I mean, it's obviously a well-known track for a lot of these drivers now. And obviously, probably I'd say the biggest challenge for them is going to be the final chicane, with the two quite high curbs you've got there as well. So you also need to be careful not to lose the car or lose a lap time or a penalty through that corner. And also you've got the wall of champions very close to the edge if a driver makes a mistake through that corner. So I think that's going to be something to look out for as we head towards qualifying, and then the sprint race obviously to follow that, and then the main race itself.
Yes, I believe. Well, you say it was a mainstay on the calendar. It has been in the circuit Gilles Villeneuve since about 1978, I believe. So a very long time on the calendar in terms of it's a very historic circuit. It's a very short lap in terms of how it is. It's only 2.7 miles for a lap around the circuit, which is only about, from looking at lap times from some of the quickest drivers in practice, looking about low 1 minute 10s to maybe mid low 11s potentially.
Yeah, indeed, it is going to be a very interesting qualifying session because we've got a lot of drivers who'll be hoping to get on pole position, and yeah, hopefully for us it's going to be an exciting battle to watch, and yeah, it remains to see who is going to be on the front row of the grid.
From the pace that I've seen of certain drivers, obviously we know Finns is quick but has not quite had the luck so far, rub of the green, if you want to look at it that way. Obviously, from looking at it, I saw this man here that's currently hovered over the mark. Tom Gorian looked quick in practice but said he could go quicker on that lap, so it'd be interesting to note if he can actually do so in terms of seeing where if he can get himself into the 1 minute 9s, as it looks like JDM is going to be the first car out on track for the Ferrari team. A driver who has struggled a little bit this season, JDM. He's been very much carried in that team by Angelo Simon. Has missed a few races, but we'll be looking to pick his form up. But the other thing that is going to be a hazard to the drivers is picking up very easy warnings and penalties around here, because this track is not lenient and the slightest on track limit warnings.
Yeah, it's very easy indeed to get your lap invalidated, and drivers are obviously going to be wanting to avoid that as much as possible. And yeah, there's turn 1 is somewhere that could be a problem, and then obviously through pretty much all of the chicanes really, and obviously the final chicane as well. So there is a lot of places for drivers to trip up on their lap times.
You are indeed correct. Anyways, take us through a lap of this circuit, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve circuit, Cal.
Yeah, so going through the chicane, using as much of the track as possible, and
I believe he's invalidated.
Looks like a back off. Yeah, he's invalidated before the lap's even started. So that is very.
I believe we will have another car though. We can go for. Gonna be Scott, but Scott's doing a very slow lap, so not gonna be him. He's decided to not go for. He's decided to go for an installation lap. I believe that is it. Shot medal. Yes, that is shot medal. So we'll go on a lap with him.
Yeah, he's going through turn one, down into, oh, that's very wide into turn two though. Only going down into third gear, and that is a big mistake there into turn two there, so he might potentially be backing off, or let's see if he does continue. Um, so yeah, he's opening the DRS, so it looks like the Alfa Romeo off-shot medal will be continuing on his lap, so into the chicane, into fifth gear, which is a higher gear than I'd be using, but every driver has their own different styles and preferences, so yeah, down into the hairpin now, very wide indeed, and only going down into third gear again, so a little bit wide into the corner, and that'll, unfortunately for him, be losing him time down this back straight with the DRS wide open, and now it is going to be towards the final chicane, and it is through the chicane now. He keeps it clean through there and opens the DRS as well, and it's going to be across the line for the first lap of this session.
1:11.1. I expect times to indeed improve, but it's going to be very interesting to see who does improve. One man that was struggling a little bit, he is in the mediums at the moment, is Vapid. He was struggling a little bit with the final couple of corners. I believe it's the first part he was struggling a little bit with in practice, so hopefully the Williams driver has managed to sort out his issues and gets himself into the groove with that final corner, because that final corner, the entrance of that can make or break your lap.
Yeah, that is very true. It's how much of the curve you take obviously determines where the car goes for the next part of the corner, so that first part of the chicane's vitally important to get good speed into that, and that obviously leads on to the pit straight as well. So yeah, you can indeed, as you say, make or break your lap through that final chicane.
You would correct this JDM goes across the line. It's a 1:13.9 for the Ferrari driver on his second lap on those tyres. With Tyrrell Stig actually, who's currently on a lap. This is one that's going to be one to potentially watch. From what I've heard of a certain driver, I believe his teammate, he is a quick driver, so no pressure, Tyrrell Stig. I think he's on a lap. I'm not entirely sure if he's backing off or not.
Interesting there that Scott slots into P2, a very close gap behind Shot Medal, so that could potentially be a battle to look out for.
Indeed, I believe Tyrrell Stig has just bailed into the pit lane, so he will not be improving on that lap. Who's the other ones that are on lap? There's XR Button. I believe he's just coming around to complete a lap. He's almost close to cutting there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Does come across the line. It's a 1:11.6. Pops himself into P3. Obviously, we haven't seen him for a few weeks, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, that's a decent banker lap there from the Alfa Romeo of XR Button, and yeah, let's see if he is indeed able to improve on that.
As I say, with a track like this, if you can keep yourself low on penalties, you might actually do very well around this track.
Yeah, that is true, especially if we do indeed get a safety car towards the end of a race. So yeah, that could also be very important in the final outcome.
That is, yeah, I think safety cars are guaranteed on a track like this because of the closeness of some of the walls, especially the likes of like the Wall of Champions, where you can go too wide into that corner, but you do have to put a lot of trust in the driver that you're racing alongside that they will leave you the space.
Yeah, that is very true. I've had a few incidents myself in recent history where I've tried to go side by side and it's just not worked out, and it's ended badly, unfortunately, for the both of us. So hopefully we're not going to see too many incidents here tonight, but yeah, that remains to see what's going to happen.
Kirby has gone across the line. P5 for him, as I believe we've lost Stig from the lobby, so we're going to see about getting him back in just now.
And Finn's goes fastest with a 1:10.4, so that's set the benchmark really for everyone else to try and improve on their time.
Yep, SFR Finns, yeah. Did kind of miss that because I was just sending an invite back to session 2 to Tyrrell Stig, so you can get yourself back in.
Checo's going to be the next driver to come across the line, goes through the
Yep.
chicane.
It's been a tiny final corner there from the Mexican driver. Obviously, struggled a little bit in his home race around Mexico. Had a good battle with XCR Senna for most of that race with the young Mercedes driver. But obviously the lone Aston Martin driver this year, he's been a decent driver, Checo, this year. He's kind of struggled a little bit here and there with pace, but he's been consistently there or thereabouts.
Yeah, he's been very consistent, and yeah, he's had good results. He's had, I believe, his best has been a 4th position, and he'll be hoping that he can improve on that. And yeah, hopefully for him, he can try and see if he can get that result.
Indeed, as we're currently on board with Angelissimo in the Ferrari, who is currently just started through, and he has a purple sector 1, so let's see if he can beat Finn's time. But a 1:10.4, we've seen that Tom Gorian, I believe in practice, managed to do a 1 minute 10.1, so I wonder if he will be able to repeat that feat and get himself as close as possible. He's currently on an outlap, so it'll be interesting to see how the Alpine driver gets on, as Angelo is purple in sector 2. However, sometimes I don't always trust these purple sectors if they actually are purple sectors or not really sometimes with this game.
It is one thing to put the laps in practice, but what matters is matching those or bettering those in the actual qualifying session. So Tom, hopefully for him, is he will
1:10.9.
Yeah, he will hope
Angelo, sorry to cut you off there.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, so he'll hope to at least match, or if not better, his times that you indeed mentioned in his practicing. So yeah.
Okay, this is a great spectator bug. Love that. Doesn't give me the right car. I won't go back to Senna though, because he's about to come around and complete his next lot of laps. Obviously, we've seen some improvements from Senna as of recently. We do know that he's relatively new to league racing. I believe he's only his 2nd F1 game overall, but on all that, but this, as I say, Finn's has retired.
Yeah, he's confident with his laps, so let's see if
Senna across
he
the
does
line.
stay there, or if someone's going to be able to improve on that lap time. As I believe,
Tom Gore, meanwhile, as you talk about it, he's about to come round. He's putting all on the line there. That's a big slide coming out in the final corner. That may well cost him. Let's see what it's going to be. A 1 minute 10.6. I think that did cost him about 2/10 that slide.
So it looks like he does have a little bit more time in him. So as we close towards the last 7.5 minutes of the session, it remains to see if the track will improve and we get some of those quicker times coming in.
I mean, with track evolution, as you say, it's going to be the last one across the line is going to get the best tire grip possible in this quali session, as I do believe we will not see any rain in this quali session. I do not know about the rest of the session, as we see TRL Stig coming across the line to start his lap. So let's see where he can put himself. Obviously, I believe he's not been able to get a lap on the board yet, so let's see what the Haas driver can actually do as we head through in towards the first few corners. Obviously, this corner here is a very easy corner to cut there, as well as that corner there. There's just so many corners in here that you can just easily invalidate your laps on or get warnings in the race. It's going to be about finding the right balance, as I was obviously talking to one of the drivers just a little bit before this actually started. I believe it was Vapid in the Williams, who was struggling a little bit with wing setups and getting turned into the car. It's all about getting an Australian speed, and as I say there, it's just easy to do. As TRL Stig just invalidates just by going straddling too much across the curb there.
Yeah, he's only got 6 and a bit minutes left, so he's gonna have to get a lap time in sooner rather than later. So
I believe that is XR Button who's crashed as well.
He will be able to do that, yeah. Yeah, I believe that's
shot medal
in the chicane.
1:10.3.
Oh, that is a very quick time indeed. So yeah, will Finns be regretting his decision to bank on that earlier lap time?
I mean, he's still in the front row at the moment, so it's not too bad for him. But he needs, that's kind of what happens. You need to be careful that you don't suddenly have a fast person, a really fast driver actually decide to, oh, I'm just going to go and steal this.
Yes, I think The Haas of TRL Stig is now on another flying lap, so let's see if he can indeed post a lap time onto the board, and let's see indeed how quick that's going to be.
He's coming through to the place where he invalidated last time. He's probably going to be a little bit more careful of the track limits. He doesn't give a little bit more respect to the track limits on the inside there this time round. For the Haas drivers, he heads down. It is a purple middle sector, so he could be beating Shut Metal's pole time at the moment, but he's going to be out of sync, and Shut Metal can obviously get another lap in if he does indeed go quicker, because Stig here is going to have to go. I don't know if he'll have time to go around, because you do know that it's a very short pit lane around here and a very short turnaround if you're actually doing it for coming in and out of the pits again. But that is maximum commitment through the wall of champions for TRL Stig. What is it going to be? A 1 minute 10.7. Must lost time in the final sector.
That puts him ahead of his teammate, but yeah, we've obviously got the final round of laps to go, and potentially we've not yet seen the best of all the drivers, so we could be seeing more times tumbling down and have a exciting last 4 minutes of this session.
You will probably see the drivers leaving the pit lane with about 2 minutes left in the session, because that's how much time you can make it round with, as we're on board with Checo once again. A little bit tentative through there. Obviously, it's knowing where you can push the limits and where you cannot, and that kind of makes the difference between some of the quicker guys and some of the slower guys in this league. As I don't know who this is, can you please leave? You're not involved in this league. I don't know if you've been invited by someone or if you just decide to join, but if you're not, if you decide to join, please leave. Anyway, back to Checo. The Mexican driver heading through the final corner, a little bit more sprightly through the final corner. What is it going to be? 112.4 for Checo. Keeps him P12, does not move.
Yeah, but yeah, stays in P12 as you say.
Oh, JDM is backwards. That is in an awkward place there. How has he managed to spin there? I'm quite surprised he's managed to do that. He might be done for the session. That might be his best lap time, because he doesn't have a front wing.
Oh, he's maybe... I'm not sure if anyone who overtook there was on a lap.
They were both on, I think they were on out laps.
Okay,
so
that's
for a driver.
good for them. So yeah, no one was impeded there, so that's all good, and yeah, we can...
Yeah. So JDM is done, so his session time is done. He's not going to be able to improve on his lap. So Fresh, I believe, is going to come round to start on a fresh lap. Let's see where the Williams driver puts himself. The second Williams driver, obviously, we've seen glimpses of So Fresh this season having pace, but it has been Vapid mainly carrying that team this year. As there is XCR Senna, he is now done. He is last at the moment on a 1:15.2. Not really getting on with the circuit at the moment. Thank you very much for leaving, whoever you were, sir. Thank you. As So Fresh is marginally down on his time in the first sector, 0.03 of a second, to be exact, on his first sector time. So we have Kirby also on a lap now. This is we're getting to the business end of the session, about 2 minutes 10 left in this qualifying session. As So Fresh is now in the middle sector. Let's see if he can find time on his lap and get himself a little bit further aboard. He's on a 1:12.1. He's up. He's down. Still down in his time marginally. So he's gonna have time in this final sector, but this final corner, these final two corners can make or break your lap, as mentioned earlier on. And let's see if he can improve on this lap here. I don't know if he's still burning ERS or not. It doesn't look his ERS is actually going down, or if he's going to go for yet another lap. He's very wide coming out there. You've got to be careful not to invalidate. You can invalidate on the second part of that curb, but let's see what it's going to be for So Fresh as he comes across the line. It's going to be a 13.2. I believe he backed off on that lap.
Yeah, speaking of invalidations, there was unfortunately one for TM Kirby as he went through the lap, and hopefully for him he's going to be fueled for another lap, and he's also got his teammate behind him as well, so could they be trying to work together here?
Tom Gorian, I believe he is on a lap as well, so we'll go on board with Tom Gorian. There's going to be a little bit of slipstream potentially here between the two Alpines. Obviously they're going for the Constructors' Championships against Williams, knowing these two have got some decent performance, but I believe Tom Gorian, I believe he's just started on a lap, so rather, because he said he's 6.4 seconds down on his best time. But Tom Gorian is going to be one of the drivers to look out for. Him and TRL Stig are going to be two of the drivers to look out for. Those two drivers have just started on laps at the moment, but it is still Shot Medal on pole position at the moment. I believe he may well potentially be coming around to finish on a lap, but nope, he is not actually. He's just starting a lap as well. Tom Gordon marginally up as we go back to the Alpine driver. He's up by just under a tenth of a second.
Yeah,
Good improvement there in the first sector.
So yeah, he'll be hoping to put himself on the front row and potentially pole position as well. And is this slipstream going to help Tom Gordon in his chances to get pole position here?
He's gonna get dirty air though, because of how close he is now.
True.
But he is purple in the middle sector, so is there going to be a switcheroo of positions here between the two Alpines? As we have now got the session timer done, so it is now the crunch time for the laps. Checo and JDM are done, so it'll be 12th and 13th for them. There's been, I don't know if this is, Kirby has been going for a lap as well. What is it going to be for Tom Gordon? He wants to get himself into the 1 minute 9s. It's oh so close, a 1 minute 10.1. He matches his best time. However, Shut Metal, 6,000ths of a second just behind him. So what can the Alfa Romeo, still get my cars wrong in this game for some reason. Shut Metal coming round to complete the lap. DRS opens up. I believe he may well get a distant slipstream off of, I think that's Angelissimo who has finished on his lap, or that is Scott coming around to finish on his lap. But what can Shut Metal do? It's an invalidation through the final corner.
Oh, that is unfortunate for him there.
So Tom Gordon is going to be on pole position for the sprint race.
The slipstream giving that little bit of help to the Alpine, and yeah, he's done a very good lap indeed, and yeah, he's found himself on pole position for the sprint race, so he'll be looking to try to take the 3 points for the win in the sprint race.
So obviously Finns might have regretted retiring that early on, considering he's been dropped to third on the second row of the grid, and he has a TRL Stig who I don't think we fully showed his potential yet. So we're still waiting obviously for So Fresh to retire so we can move on to the next one, and there we go. We are done. So your grid line up for the 5-lap sprint race round here, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. It is going to be Tom Gordon who has the best seat in the house, pole position, with Shut Medal alongside. Validating on his final lap probably would have improved and maybe potentially got that pole position back, but it was unfortunate not to be the case. Second row is going to be SFR Finns and TRL Stig, then it is Vapid Q and Viper Shoe. Angelissimo and Scott 7th and 8th, with Kirby and Button, two people who know each other quite well, 9th and 10th. So Fresh and Check 11th and 12th, with JDM and Senna rounding off the 14-car grid.
Yeah, very much so, and that was a very exciting end there to that qualifying session, and yeah, the action is just beginning really as we now head on to the 5 laps of the sprint race.
Indeed. Also, did not see it, but TRL Stig, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you enjoy. Plenty of action to follow up for you to look back on, as well as I believe some of the stuff will go on to the YouTube channel, the RFL YouTube channel, I believe. I don't know the full. I think it's Racing Formula League on YouTube. I think that is correct. Someone can correct me if I am indeed wrong on that one. But we have the 5-lapper sprint to come up. Obviously, no strategy in this first race. It is very simply just a straight sprint for the drivers to the end. 5 laps of, we'd say sometimes just not carnage, but chaos. Really is probably the best word to go with.
Yeah, it is. It is often chaotic in the sprint races in particular, as everyone is just sprinting, as the name of sprint race would suggest, to the line. So yeah, it can often result in many battles and sometimes potentially incidents as well occurring. So yeah, hopefully everyone's going to be clean through the first lap or so, and yeah, it promises to be a very exciting weekend for the sprint race and the main race as well.
Indeed, as I say, there's your grid once again. For some reason there are 3 people in mediums. I don't know if that's a glitch or if that's the game being weird. Either that or they're actually in softs, and yeah, so if you just check for me, Cal, if Viper, Stig and Shut Metal are on mediums, or if that is just a glitch on my end.
I think sometimes if you use all your sets of softs, it can game can put you on the mediums as you've used all your soft tires. So maybe that's what's happened there in that situation. So yeah,
Okay, so Stig used all of the softs in quali. Okay.
I mean I'm not
So he is
100%
indeed
sure
on
if
the
that has
mediums.
happened, but
Okay, that's gonna be a
that's
yeah.
what I believe
That's a
has
bit of a rip.
happened there. Yeah.
That's a bit of a rip for you, Stig, there, because that is going to be not fun for 5 laps of racing. But I don't know why it doesn't give you. I don't know why there's not enough sets of soft tires really, because
Mm. I mean, obviously
strange one that one.
with the short track as well, drivers could have had more runs than potentially they would got on a longer track, so that could maybe have played into it as well.
Indeed, it's unfortunate for those in the mediums because that's not going to be fun. Let's just say that much. But for those in the midfield, like a little bit further down, it's going to be very much a case of keeping your nose clean and making sure that you don't make any mistakes early on. I'm thinking sort of your likes of your anyone sort of fourth down, say your Vapids, your Vipers, that sort of thing. People all the way down to say about Checo on P12. Obviously for JDM and Senna, it's not so much of an issue. Those two can only really go forward from where they are. But as I say, for anyone there in that midfield region from about fourth to about P10, P11, it's very much a case point of just keeping your nose clean and making sure that you don't make any major mistakes, and you should be good if you come out of that from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we've got the two championship contenders, Vapid and Scott. They're both sort of in the front of the midfield, shall we say? So they could potentially have to watch out for incidents going on around them.
Indeed, as we have the countdown timer on for the start of the session, as we will see the drivers getting the action underway. If you've not already done it, grab your beverages and grab your popcorn or whatever suits for yourself, because there's going to be a lot of action to come from the 5 lap race and then the 36 laps, I believe, 35 laps of the 50% race distance to come as well. Obviously, no formation laps, so straight into the action. The 5 red lights are going to be on, and it is going to be 5 red lights. Tom Gorian, it's going to be important for him to get a decent start. I think he has managed to get a decent start. And Shot Medal, I believe, has been caught out a little bit by SFR Fins. SFR Fins is down the inside of Shot Medal. There's been contact to the side pods, and Fins goes round. He has been dropped down a position as Shot Medal's got a 2-second time penalty for collision with Shot Medal, so not the best for him, as it looks like we have Viper, who's close as well to the back of Vapid. There's been a little bit of contact. I think that might have been Scott there. Scott has been dropped down a few positions, and he's got no front wing there, so that's unfortunate there for Scott. He's going to have to come into the pits as Kirby goes side by side. It's somebody else around it. Well, that's Viper that's round. He's been spun by someone as well. It's here button. It looks like he's gotten himself up to P6. Good start from him there. There's been a bit of a gap though, as Angelo looks like he's fell back. SFR Fins making the move on Checo, back up to P10. So the Red Bull driver, the full-time Red Bull driver, is making the moves to try and get himself back into it. He's going to go down the inside of Scott, obviously, who doesn't have a front wing. He's going to be trying to look at it, but he doesn't have the grip to actually get with it. So looking back at this, the action at the moment isn't about this midfield area, with Vince trying to make his way back through from there, as it looks like we have SoFresh getting past as well. It looks like Angelissimo's going to come under pressure from the Alfa Romeo button. It's going to be there, as it's a 3-second time penalty for Scott as he goes into the pit lane. Does exceed the track limits as Tom Gorian with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Angelo under pressure, I think he may well have a little bit there. There goes Viper Shoe. He's out of the race from the back, as it looks like SFR Fins going past SoFresh for what is P8 at this moment in time, but still a lot of ground to make up, as it looks like Button still is trying to make himself up a few positions, get himself past Angelo. Angelo meanwhile is looking at Vapid. Vapid struggling a little bit. TRL Stig looks at the top 3 have kind of dispersed a little bit further apart then, but TRL Stig has stick down to a time penalty. So this is where the time penalties are already coming into a thing.
Yeah, very much so, and Tom already getting himself a 1.4 second lead, and with Shot Medal and TRL Stig in second and third already getting penalties. So it is indeed looking good for the Alpine driver of Tom Gorian in P1. But there's a battle for P5 behind, and it's Angelo and Button side by side. But the Alfa Romeo of Button does think better and does back out into the chicane. But can he get a good exit out of it and possibly see if he can make a move into the first corner as well? But it doesn't quite look like that's going to be the case for him. But it's side by side just behind, with Fins and Kirby going side by side into the second corner, and it does look like Fins has taken P7.
Indeed, Finn's back on a charge, obviously spun early on off the back of TRL Stig. Obviously we know, or Shot Metal rather, and we know that there was a little bit of side pod contact, and side pod contact on this game normally does not end well for whoever hits the side pod. You just spin round and do a very lazy 360 that you really can't save.
Yeah, very much the case, and it's starting to be a little bit of a train forming behind Vapid in P4, with obviously Angelo, Button, Fins and Kirby all within a second of each other, and will be getting the DRS down the back straight here.
Indeed, as Angelo looks to try and defend, he does have the DRS, but the Alfa Romeo driver very close behind. However, he's going to run out of DRS very soon, as he's not going to be able to be close enough to really make the move into the corner, as Angelo is still keeping himself ahead at the moment. And the Ferrari driver under a little bit of pressure here. However, Fins is looking to put the pressure on to the Alfa Romeo driver, as Angelo's wide. That is very wide from Angelo. He's made a mistake there and he's had to rejoin behind. That's cost him potential position to Kirby. Kirby looking to try and make the move on the Ferrari driver. So the Ferrari driver does drop a few positions. Not unfortunate, it's Kirby now picks up a time penalty as well as Fins. I believe that's him round. That's unfortunate there. I wonder if he's had contact, and I think he may have tapped the wall and got damage in the process as well.
Yeah, that is very unlucky there indeed, but we do have a battle for P6 here between Angelo and Kirby, and it's not quite going to be a move into the chicane, but it could well very much be into turn, I don't know the turn number, but it's into the hairpin between Vapid and Fins. Into the hairpin, side by side they go, and who is going to come out on top? A little bit of
round the outside for Fins. That is a good move round the outside. However, he's also got a DRS, I think, as well.
Yeah, Fins gets the DRS as well.
He's finessed it. Good job there from Fins. Like a good move from the outside. And however, that's the one thing we haven't considered.
Checo makes the overtake.
Oh, it's the American. It's So Fresh versus Checo. The Mexican versus the American. The Mexican comes out on top on this occasion.
Side by side for P3, and that's Fins up to third.
Yeah, he's not got penalties either.
Yeah, that is true.
If he hadn't had the incident, I think he would have been a bit closer.
He's obviously a little bit further back behind P2, but if he can make up that gap in the final lap, which is very unlikely, but if he can, he could get P2 here.
Indeed, Vapid meanwhile is having a look at TRL Stig now. TRL Stig, you can see that red light flashing away on that Haas, which suggests that he is insanely low on deployment. Yes, 8% for the Haas driver, and he's using it. Vapid meanwhile doesn't have much himself, and obviously Angelo behind doesn't have penalties, so Angelo will get a few positions here, potentially back up to P4 if he can keep himself close. Meanwhile though, we're going to go back to the front because Tom Gorian is about to cross the finish line and win the 5-lapper sprint and take the maximum amount of points. So he's done job number 1, or part 2 of 3. He just has to do the final job now. Shot Medal is going to come home in P2, with Fins, I believe, coming home in P3.
Could be side by side, but Stig is just about.
Oh, TRL Stig didn't have a front wing coming across the line there.
Yeah.
Rapid drops down to P6. And I think a few people have dropped as well. So Fresh dropped all the way down to P10. Then I believe it's just going to be Button to cross the line after his spin. That's very unfortunate there for him. And then Scott as well. Not unfortunate for him. He'll be starting from P13. Not ideal for Scott. Let's just say that much. He will be hoping for better in the main race.
Yeah, we've also got a very long race ahead of us, so there's every opportunity.
Stig didn't have a front wing for the entire last lap. Okay.
Oh, that is fair play for getting through the lap there. But yeah, we've got a very exciting race on our hands now.
Yep, obviously we've seen the pace of Fins coming back through the field, but it is going to be Tom Gorian to take the 3 points from the sprint race for the Alpine team, with Notta Williams on the podium, so no points in this particular sprint for Vapid. Second place is going to go to shot medal, obviously. Didn't really have the same pace as Tom. And then it is going to be third place to, I believe it was Finn's in the Red Bull. So Red Bull getting some good, 1 point. Considering they've struggled to get a decent driver lineup this season. And that team probably is going to be carried by Finns for the rest of the season. Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad indeed. And some very close action there in the sprint race. And yeah, let's hope for some more close battling during the race, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what tire compounds everyone's going to start on, and particular for maybe, for example, Scott towards the back, if he might go potentially long on a hard tire maybe, or if he's going to just maybe hope for a safety car possibly as well.
Yep. So it was Tom who took the 3 points with Shutmiddle in P2, Isvar Finns P3 with Angelo just off the podium P4, Terrelstig P5 with Vapikut P6, Checo in P7 with Kirby in P8, JDM in P9, SoFresh P10 with Senna in 11th, Ixer Button 12th, 13th for Scott, and Viper Shoe is in 14th and the only DNF of the race. And I believe he's just left the session, so I don't know if he's going to come back in. We will get him back in. I don't know if they're going to be set up a new lobby or not, or if I'm just going to carry on with this one because they have had some lobby issues in the last few weeks. I will go and see if I can get Viper Shoe back in while we are waiting.
So yeah, where do you think is going to be the best place potentially to find overtakes in this race that we'll have coming up?
So your back straight is going to be your key. If you can get under half a second, I believe 4/10 or less should be able to make you get a move up the inside, but you do need to be careful that you cannot really go around the outside going into the final 2 corners unless you can really trust the driver you're racing with to go side by side. Maybe in towards turn 1 as well if you can catch someone out down the inside, or you can maybe try and loop it around the outside and get the inside for the next corner, and then probably the next corner after that, just after turn at number 1 I believe. Maybe the DRS, because obviously I believe it is 3 DRS zones on this track. You have the main one down the start finish straight, then you have the one on between at the end of the sector 1, just after the end of sector 1, and then down the back straight as well, just towards the line. So one thing that is going to be crucial for the drivers is if you're in a DRS train to save ERS, because once your ERS disappears around here, I don't think you're really going to get it back unless you're saving.
Yeah, that is very much true, and yeah, this circuit has been host to what is in real life arguably one of the most exciting races in recent decades, really. Obviously, the 2011 race, I believe it was, where Jenson Button got the win on the very last lap. Yeah, I remember that race going on.
A race that was 5 hours long.
Yeah, very long indeed.
And that's why the rule, where you can't, there's the timer now, I believe, was brought in just after that, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so that was obviously quite a rain affected race as well, and very instant filled as well. I remember the McLaren teammates of Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton making contact down the pit straight, and yeah, we've seen.
Then I believe it was also Alonso getting beached on the curb after making contact with Button as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, I remember that as well, and yeah, also if I'm right, I think it was
Vettel losing it on the wet patch on the final lap.
Yeah, I think this circuit, I believe, was Lewis Hamilton's first victory back in 2007 as well.
Yes, you are correct on that front. Obviously, a very babyface McLaren. Lewis Hamilton at the time. Obviously, he has matured over the years, but he's a driver who divides opinion. We will not go into it here, obviously, but he does divide opinion.
Yeah, and another memory that sort of sticks out for me is quite a horrific incident, really, that happened to Robert Kubica heading towards the hairpin corner, and I remember his feet like sticking out the car as well.
That was
So that
indeed
was
correct on that front.
very dramatic. And yeah, that obviously um in turn that allowed Sebastian Vettel to get his debut in USA a race later, if I'm correct.
Indeed. I believe he also got the fastest speeding penalty as well in that very race in practice.
Mm, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
bear in mind also with the Kubica, going back to the Kubica thing that happened, obviously he won the following year,
Yeah. That
in
is true.
2008 I believe it was, after the collision between, I believe it was Hamilton and Raikkonen in the pit lane, because obviously the pit lane could close under a safety car at that point.
Yeah, that
Oh, you
was
don't see anymore.
the the pit is was it the pit lane incident that happened? Was
It
that?
was indeed.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
2008 I believe it was.
a very bizarre incident that happened. Um, yeah, that was yeah. I just remember being in sort of not shock, but like very surprised when I saw that. So yeah, that was yeah. 7-year-old me was very yeah very surprised. That I said yeah.
Yeah. While we've been just uh, talking away, the lobby is actually going to be ready to get going. So this is the main feature race for this round. Obviously, a lot more laps and a lot more time for people to pick up penalties and such. And this is where even more so that the ability of keeping your car within the white lines is really going to come into effect.
Yeah, that is true. We've yeah, it'll be interesting to see again. Do we get potentially some rain in this race as well? Or is it going to be a dry session? So that'll we'll find that out shortly. I'd think.
Yep, once JDM is ready.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many of these drivers would have practiced if it was for wet conditions, if it does come to that.
Yeah. It
It
does
is a
look
little bit cloudy in the
dry.
sky,
Um,
but it looks dry
Dry
at
to
the
start
moment.
with at least. But yeah, as you say, a little bit of clouds. So um, are we getting rain towards the end? Who knows?
Potentially, I don't actually know that info because no one, I don't know if anyone is actually watching the stream that is actually in the race, apart from maybe Checo. So Checo, if you're in the chat still, what is the weather looking like for the race? If you're alright, just give me that little bit of info for what's actually going on, because obviously I can see in the chat there's Stig as well if you know the info on that. But this is definitely going to be obviously one of these this track I believe some of the curbs around here as well. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers approach it in terms of the downforce and downforce they are carrying on the car, because you do want straight line speed for a trial of this, but you also
Yeah,
want enough downforce through the corners.
that's very true. And we could see some drivers just running really low downforce to get the advantage on the straights, and then but in contrary, we might see other drivers going for high downforce and just being able to pull away in the corners. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the story is with that. And yeah, I think if I'm right in also thinking was Canada Daniel Ricciardo's first win as well? Was that correct? Am I thinking?
Yes, I think that was correct. I mean, he was
Yeah,
would that be in the 2014
I believe so.
season?
Yeah. Um.
Because I believe that was the season that it was only one of 3 races he won that season,
Yeah.
because he was the only one of the drivers outside of the Mercedes cars that season who won a race. Because as was it? Because I believe that was the weekend where Mercedes had issues with their powertrain. I believe it was.
Yeah. That. I think that's correct. Yeah. That was. I think that was what happened there. I also remember the crash between was it Perez and Massa into turn one? Quite a
Oh
big
yes,
incident
I believe
there.
it was almost an airplane crash really
Maybe.
there. That
Yeah.
one I believe it was.
Yeah. So that was yeah another sort of memory of this circuit really. And yeah, going back a little bit further back into the history, Nigel Mansell, he was about to win, then he drives slowly around the last lap, and his engine doesn't take it, and he has to retire. So that's
Indeed.
another image that I
Hasn't
have
that
seen.
hasn't didn't also Lewis Hamilton have issues in qualifying in this track as well? Had to stop and push his car towards the pit lane as well because
Yeah,
he'd
I
actually
do.
needed a fuel sample
I do
for, I
remember
believe,
that.
when he was
Yeah,
still at McLaren.
yeah. Because
2009, 2010, I believe it was.
didn't he park his car on the back straight or something and then push it?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
He did indeed push his car.
yeah. Obviously, a track with a lot of history. Um, yeah,
That is a question, obviously, we've got a little bit of time to ask about this while the drivers are picking up their strategies and fuel, of course. But what is obviously your opinion on the removal to a point of like historical tracks with like modern tracks with almost no history? I mean, I'm not entirely the most keen on some of the new tracks because I feel
yeah,
like there's way too much runoff area in some of these new tracks. But I'd be interested to know your opinion on
yeah.
just what
I
you think about that.
think the sort of the classics, the likes of, for example, Silverstone, Spa, Monza, those sort of tracks. They're ones that that I think should stay on the calendar. I suppose the sort of history is what keeps sort of Monaco on the calendar as well. Obviously, it brings brilliant qualifying sessions, but not necessarily good races. Um, so yeah, I think history does sometimes come into play, but yeah, obviously we're seeing a lot more of the newer tracks coming in, and some of them aren't always the best, to put
I
it
mean, Miami
kindly.
wasn't really much of a success, was it, this year? We really look at Miami, it wasn't that much of a good race. And we've obviously seen the latest news that Las Vegas is also going to host a race, I believe, on next year's calendar or the year after. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I'm not entirely the most keen on that because the thing with Monaco's a kind of a split track in terms of how you look at it because it's a track where it works for smaller cars, it just doesn't work for
Yeah,
modern cars. They're just
because
too wide.
because the cars have got just bigger and heavier over the years, so you sort of needed sort of more and more space, if that makes sense, for all the circuits.
Yes, that does indeed make sense, but it as I say, it's a track that does divide opinion. But anyway, we're going to put some focus on to the Canadian Grand Prix and RFL round number 18 as we are about to get ourselves underway. And we will see what shapes up coming into it. We will see what tyres everyone has opted to start on. I wonder if anyone will go different because obviously we know the tyre strategies for most of the tracks on this game is medium hard or hard medium. One of the two of those variations normally works. So we'll see how the drivers get on. As there's your strategy on screen, do not do that second strategy. It's probably not your most advisable. As we're going to see what everyone has opted to start on. And so, Tom Gorian is on mediums, so he's looking potentially at, if anything happens early on with safety cars, he's in a good position. Sofresh has been disqualified from the session, and so has XCR Senna, so those two have made contact, so those two on hard tyres are not going to have fun on the
Yeah,
lap.
that's not going to be ideal for them. It'll be interesting to see if anything does come from that. But yeah, as we obviously look to see what tires everyone's starting on, as you've obviously just mentioned.
Yes, so Sharp Metal, all from Sharp Metal down to Steg is on hards. Then it is Vapid and Checo on mediums. Kirby is on hards as well, so the Alpine splitting strategy.
Yeah, we are
JDM is
seeing
on mediums.
pretty much
Yeah, so
half
split
and
strategy.
half really of the split of the strategies here.
Yes. Obviously, we know that Sofresh and Senna are being starting ice cold hard tyres, and then obviously we have Button and Scott at the back looking to make their way through the field in the Alfa Romeo and the
Yeah.
Haas. I don't know why my brain just couldn't say that for a second there. It just decided to just not respond with
Yeah,
me. Thank you very much for that, brain.
I have experienced being on ice cold tires at a start, and it hasn't ended well. So hopefully for Fresh and Senna that it does end cleanly for them, and they can get through the first few laps of the race.
So the crucial thing for Tom Gorian as he heads into this is his mindset of getting away as quickly as possible, because Shut Middle, Finns, Angelo and Stig are going to be on better tyres if there is no safety cars. That is a big if though on that front. But he's got to get away early, because his tyres will drop off before the likes of the cars behind him.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's going to be very interesting to see the start of the race. And yeah, we are about to see the lights come on.
Yep, we've got the last of the cars forming up. It is JDM and XCR Button at the back, as well as, I believe a few people have had Angelo's not quite formed up properly, so that could cause him a little bit of an issue a little bit further back in the box. But the lights are indeed going to come on for the RFL round number 18 here at Canada. 5 red lights are on, and it is lights out. It's a big hold, and it is away we go. Tom Gorian, good start from him. However, Finns looks like he's got a decent start on Shut Metal. Looks like Stig as well has got a decent start on Vapid. Vapid tries to go side by side. Stig tries to go around the outside of Angelo. The Haas driver does not manage it though, however he's just got enough space around the outside, but he's lost a position there to Vapid, so Vapid's managed to get himself up to P number 5 on the medium compound tyres. He has to get past his Ferrari as quickly as possible as well to make this work. Shut Metal meanwhile up front, it looks like we've got a move at the back. It looks like Senna and Button have gone side by side as they've got past each other there, as it looks like Scott has got past as well. Looks like JDM is trying to make a move. I believe the Italian driver, I'm not entirely sure, trying to make a move here, as like Vapid is trying to get up the inside of Angelo. Not close enough though. Angelo is already losing ground. He's already a second back from Finns. Managed to get himself back in there, but he's teetering on the edge of DRS at the moment, and DRS is a very important thing around here to keep yourself in the game. However, look at the grip difference between Vapid and Angelo. Angelo's going to have to look in his rearview mirror a lot more. Button up to P10, of getting himself past Sofresh, obviously on the medium compound tyres. Let's see, so it looks like Finns as well is going to try and make a move on Shut Meadow. Shut Meadow struggling a little bit on these tyres early on, however Finns is not struggling nearly as much. Scott as well, meanwhile at the back is past Sofresh, as it looks like Finns dropped like a little bit. Vapid meanwhile just at the back is managing to keep himself close as possible, as Stig meanwhile is looking to make a move, having dropped back on the initial lap. However, it's not been a good run there as Checo tried to get himself as close as possible on the back there, as it looks like XR Senna has got past Sofresh. They're still side by side though. There's a little bit of contact, near contact there. As we head through XR Button, I believe, is trying to get past JDM. JDM is a little bit slow on this initial lap, not been able to make it move yet. However, Vapid is still close to the back of Angelo and looking to make the move here, as Vapid has still not managed to clear this Ferrari yet, and Angelo is just a little bit of a buffer now and is helping Finns out. However, the gaps at the front have kind of got a little bit bigger, and they're all about a second. However, Vapid is looking at the gearbox, and pretty much as there goes JDM. Yeah. Yep, JDM has gone round at the back of the field, so I don't exactly know what's happened. If he's had contact with someone, we might have to see at the end of that if anything does come of it. However, Angelo is going to looks like he's going to be passed here by Vapid. However, Vapid may well look to get the DRS on the next lap and get himself past. However, looking back at, I think it's Checo meanwhile still close to Stig. Stig struggling on these tyres at the moment to keep himself within range. He's teetering about the second mark for the Haas driver. Checo looking to get himself as close as possible as well. Scott on the back of Button. Button already out of ERS. He's trying to defend heavily as Senna's into the pit lane. 5-second penalty for the Mercedes driver, not ideal for him. So he's going to have to go a long way on a set of hard compound tyres to get himself towards the end of the Grand Prix. Scott up the inside up to P number 9. As Vapid now looks to try and get himself close as possible once again, but I believe that is the action calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously quite a hectic start there, and that is Finns up into P2 there as well. I think there's a little bit...
Stig is round.
I think there's a little bit of time. Ooh, he is round. I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, just off the start line, I was looking at Scott, and he got a pretty good start offline. However, he was just a little bit boxed in, and that very much hindered him through the opening parts of the lap. So he's going to hopefully, for him, try and get through the field. As we've got Vapid on the back of Angelo once more. Is he going to get close enough?
He's still not close enough. Yeah, I think because it's a double DRS detection, he's probably going to go for it here. Yeah. Angelo a little bit tentative. However, Vapid a little bit tentative on the throttle there. He has been struggling a little bit. I have been watching the Williams driver in practice. He was struggling a little bit with being a little bit tentative on the throttle coming out of that final corner, and I believe that cost him a little bit as we're looking at shut middle as well. Still fairly close to the back of Finns. I believe that Finns has managed to get himself up the inside.
Oh, very close
of the
Button
is out of the Grand Prix, so that is in the in pit lane?
I think it is.
That is indeed in the pit lane.
Like it is,
so that is his race done and dusted. The Alfa Romeo driver is done for this Grand Prix.
And Senna as well, retiring possibly the Wall of Champions.
Oh, that's Wall of Champions.
Yeah, and that is
from the looks of it
some sort of safety car. It's the full safety car.
It is. The safety car is out. Yep.
So
Tom Goring could get an actual advantage here. So we'll go to Tom, see if he decides to go for the pit lane.
Yeah.
But the field get completely neutralised. I wonder that the medium runners may well choose to come in and maybe get a free pit stop out of this.
Maybe. Can the hard tires get to the end from here? Probably not, I'd think, but yeah, maybe someone wants to take that gamble.
Tom Goring has carried on.
But yeah, I saw Vapid getting very
Vapid
close
is coming. No, Finns is in.
Finns, yeah.
What is this? This has to be for damage.
Yes,
yep, this is for damage.
And a few others in as well towards the back of the field. We've got Checo, Kirby, and Scott.
Finn's got held up badly there. Finn's got held up really badly from that.
Yeah, Kirby
will come ahead, however.
That is interesting.
He potentially can do the strategy. I wonder. I know what Kirby's actually doing there. He's doing the strategy where you do a lap, you come back around, and you come back in and put the hard tires back on.
That is very much true.
I've done this strategy a few times.
Yeah.
That strategy does work.
I believe he has done this up here a few times through this RFL season. So is he going to be doing the same thing again? We'll shortly see. But yeah, just going back to Vapid going through the final chicane. It's obviously it's a sequence of corners which is it's very easy to make a mistake. So he's obviously trying to stay out the walls and just making sure he stays in the race first and foremost before he attacks the chicane too much, really. So yeah, he's just obviously trying to stay in the race and yeah, obviously not make any mistakes, which is very important for him, obviously being the championship leader.
Indeed. As I believe Checo's got a little bit of a buffer to Checo, who's currently got quite a few cars behind him, obviously still catching up to the queue himself. I believe we will see Kirby come back into the pit lane. He is probably going to go for the strategy I think he's going to go for. Is he carrying on? Nope. And Stig has come in.
Yeah. So
has he got damage as well, I wonder?
Kirby is indeed doing the strategy of coming back into the pits again.
It's mediums. There's no damage for the Haas. That's a bold call. He's been jumped. Oh, he's retired.
Oh. Wonder why that could have been.
Oh. I don't know why he retired.
Very strange, but...
So he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, only 10 cars left in this Grand Prix. Okay. That was not expected. Stig, if you're in the chat, I'm curious as to why you retired. Give me some kind of thing of working with. I don't know if he's actually in the chat now. I think he's actually, yeah, I think he has left the chat. He's not in the chat anymore. So something's obviously happened to him at some point in that and he's decided to carry on. However, Kirby's back onto these hard compound tyres at the back of the field, but he's in the best position. He will not lose any positions from there.
Yeah.
And he can just move forward. He's pretty much done his strategy now. He doesn't have to stop again.
He's back on his original tyres, and yeah, as you say, he doesn't have to stop again. If he doesn't want to, so yeah.
This lap.
Yep, in this lap, and the action will be getting back underway.
Yep, and Tom Goring slowing the pack down immediately. He does need to make sure that he needs to get tire heat into his tyres now. However, he's not really, there we go, he's weaving a little bit now, realising he needs to get a little bit tyre grip, but he does need to make sure. He does have shut middle on Angelo. Obviously we've seen that Angelo has struggled a little bit on pace, but let's see how the pace actually goes. Tom Goring is gone. He's cut. No, he's not. He's not gone yet. He's obviously gone a little bit too early. I thought he had gone that early. Is he going to go at the final corner? He's probably going to go on the main straight. No, he hasn't gone yet, so he's still holding them at the moment. When is he going to go? Shot Metal obviously can't overtake yet. There's going to be a little bit. He's caught out Shot Metal a little bit. Angelo, obviously, nobody can overtake before the start finish line. Obviously, as per the rules of real F1, Checo and Sofresh.
Yeah.
Oh my word, Checo, I think he's going to lose 2 positions here. As Sofresh goes round the outside, the American driver versus the Mexican. Checo does hold on to the position. Scott up the inside of Sofresh. Scott looking to try and go round the outside. Sofresh leaves him just enough space, but he has to back out. And I believe we lost JDM. Only 9 drivers left now. This race has actually been a race of attrition. I didn't expect that to actually happen. Meanwhile, Vapid looking once again in the back of a Ferrari. Must be getting sick of looking at the gearbox of that Ferrari by this point, because he's been stuck behind it for 7 laps now.
Yeah, very true. And Tom Gorian's already got a 1.3 second gap in
Fins
front.
as well, he's looking opportunistic down the inside. The New Zealand driver in the Red Bull, trying to get past. He's got up the inside, however Vapid's going to have the better run around the outside. They're going to go side by side, however I believe Fins is going to have the slipstream.
Yeah.
And he's up the inside, here comes Fins on
Checo
Angelo.
on
I don't know how much Angelo's really going to have.
Side by side as well.
Checo trying to get himself past. He's going to go up the inside, and Vapid is going to lose a position to Checo. That's a good move
Scott
there. Oh my word! That's a big mistake though. Is Vapid going to come back? He may well come back at him. And Fins is up. Angelo's managed to get past Fins. I'm kind of expecting that, considering he was on a set of medium compound tyres, and Angelo's still on the hard tyres that he didn't need to start this race on. Fins now is looking to try and put the pressure on to Shot Metal, and really this could be a spanner in the works for Tom Gorian. He needs to get as much of a gap as possible and hope that Shot Metal fights Fins.
Yeah, very much so, and a lot of action right now, obviously just after a safety car, so that the field's obviously very bunched up, and it's going to be a case of which driver is going to be brave enough to make the move stick here.
Indeed. We are still indeed with Checo, who's currently trying to get himself past Vapid at the moment, but he looks like he's going to have pressure from Scott behind, and Scott is going to have a lot of pace on those tyres. He does not have to pit again, I believe. Scott has already made his pit stop. So obviously, I believe Scott started on the mediums, if I am correct.
I think that is right, yeah.
And he's looking to make the move, as it looks like Checo. However, this is the power of the DRS. Checo is still keeping himself in check at the moment. Just behind his DRS is indeed enabled. Fins on Shot Metal. Shot Metal is going to be always on the hards. He started on those tyres. He did not pit. He's keeping himself just within a second. That's going to be crucial for Shot Metal. He needs DRS.
Contact there between Checo and Scott, but I think both drivers are okay. Maybe a little bit of time loss for Checo, unfortunately for him, but yeah.
Indeed. However, Angelo, again, he's dropped 2 seconds on those tyres. Obviously, we know that Fins is a quick driver, and once he puts it all together, the New Zealand driver can be very, very quick.
Yep.
And he is showing his pace, and I don't think he's actually got a win so far this season. So he's really probably looking at how close he can get. 0.2 of a second is the gap between himself and Shot Metal. He's not really going to want to make a move here. He's going to want to stay behind for the double DRS that he's going to get. Shot Metal a little wide as we go into the chicane. And now the DRS is going to be wide open on that Red Bull. Let's see, Shot Metal's going to have to use a lot of his deployment. Look at that Red Bull, gets closer and closer. Down the inside, is it going to be? Shot Metal's not really going to fight this. I think he's wisely thought about this, and it's down the inside for Fins. However, it's Shot Metal may well get a chance soon when those tyres do indeed go off. And he opts to pit for probably the medium compound tyres. And now Fins has a clear shot at Tom Gorian. Obviously, we know that a few drivers have been quick this season, and I believe we've seen Fins has had the pace. However, he's just not really fully shown it, and look at that, he's already trying to gap Shot Metal. A second is the gap between Tom Gorian and Fins. So obviously, we know Tom Gorian did not pit either, as well as Vapid. He's trying to get himself as far away as possible, using a little bit of deployment. Fins has almost nothing in the reserves for ERS. He's in the low 14%. He's trying to keep himself as close as possible, probably trying to get himself within the range of getting into the DRS and then saving a little bit of ERS while he is behind the Alpine driver.
Yeah, that is very much the case, and we've also got Vapid very close behind Angelo, and as well Scott very close behind Checo as well, and the gap between Checo and Vapid obviously closing as well. So a 4-car train really here, with Kirby as well not too far behind.
Angelo is in trouble here, I think.
Yeah, and it's DRS.
He's still not close enough. I know that Vapid is running high wings around here from what I was talking to him in practice he does need to make the moves, probably in the corners more so. However, on Vapid though, he hasn't been as slow on the throttle this time round. However, Fins, I got close into towards turn 1. Is he going to go down the inside here? However, I believe Tom Gorian is going to hold the line. He's going to have his mirrors full of Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull haven't really been a non-factor, but this is a thing for Alpine. They really can't afford to lose too many points to drive lower teams in the constructors, because they're fighting for the constructors championship with Vapid. And obviously,
yeah,
Karen,
that's very much true. And yeah, obviously Finn's having come into the pits earlier as well, so a little bit of an offset on the strategy, but we've got Vapid right behind Angelo here as we head towards the hairpin.
Indeed, but he's not going to want to make the move here because he's going to get
Finn's
DRS. However, he's actually got it.
well.
Oh, Checo tried to make a move up the inside, I believe, of Angelo.
And
I think though, yeah, indeed, I kind of expect that to happen at one point, but we know those tyres are going to fall off on that Red Bull at one point or another. Can Tom Gorian come back at him? He's going to be, actually, he's letting him go back through.
Yeah, and Scott there getting ahead of Checo, but I think they both just picked up a time penalty there.
It looks like they did.
Yeah.
3 seconds for both of those guys there. Angelo, meanwhile, is still holding up a train of cars behind him. He's got 4th. We got 4th all the way down to what is even Kirby down in P8 at the moment, and then SoFresh as well is still all over the back of Kirby. Kirby really struggling for pace at the moment. Maybe not his best track in terms of pace. It's the two Americans. It's the American in the Alpine versus the American in the Williams. Who will come out on top? Out SoFresh trying to go up the inside. Not able to get anything done there. Kirby keeps holding the position for the moment. Let's see, it's not much deployment for Kirby in the Alpine as he tries to hold on from the Williams, and he does for the moment.
And yeah, Tom Gorian retains the lead here, but Fins is going to get the DRS as well as Shot Medal behind as well for the leading trio there. And it's going to be Fins.
DRS being used here, I believe. This is now, I think now, this is very smart play now. Shot Medal has dropped out of a second. These two are just using each other for DRS here. I wonder if Fins is going to do the same thing again to try and let him go. However, this time Fins does it. That's probably going to be for the hard compound tyres, I would indeed think.
Potentially, and he's I think the first of the hard runners to.
Hard runners, he was on the mediums, I believe.
Yeah, mediums. Apologies for that, but yeah, he's now onto the hards, obviously, and yeah, he'll be looking to possibly try and get an undercut here.
Indeed. As we currently have, I believe, Shot Medal still keeps himself close at the moment. The only remaining Alfa Romeo in the race, after Button crashed out, I believe, well, not crashed out, but was in the pit lane, obviously, for an early incident that caused him to retire from the race. As I can hear, that's a lockup from Fins in front. These three all close. Scott has managed to get himself ahead of, obviously Vapid, we know as pit, so he's probably going to the end of the Grand Prix on those tyres. Those, the hard tyres, we know are a very, very durable tyre.
Yeah, that is very much true. And does anyone come into the pits in the top 3? No, they don't. And now the question is, does Angelo respond to Vapid? No, he does not. Angelo stays
he's on the hards,
out
remember,
as well,
so he's probably going a little bit longer.
Scott, who makes a little bit of a mistake through the chicane, but he is still just about within the DRS range.
Yep, he does have Checo for company behind. The Mexican just sitting there silently waiting his opportunity behind.
Yeah,
a little bit of a moment though.
He's obviously on the mediums as opposed to obviously the drivers around him all on hards, so he'll be looking to try and stay as close to them as possible. But obviously with that penalty, that's not going to help him at this moment in time.
I believe Tom Gorian is starting to struggle on his tyres because Shot Medal is keeping closer than him than what he is to Fins. That gap has almost reached a second between the Red Bull and the Alpine. Obviously we know that the Red Bull is probably going to have to pit again at some point, but if Fins can get enough of a gap, he can potentially make that work.
Yeah, he could. And Tom just about staying within the DRS, and he is going to be desperate to stay within that 1 second window. And yeah, I don't think it's quite going to be any overtakes into the chicane, but yeah, it's Obviously, good close racing in this race so far.
Yep, the top three look like the closest battle at the moment. It looks like the other battle that's currently going on is Scott, who's currently looking at how close he is to the back of Angelo.
Yeah, that is very close indeed, and it remains to see if Scott is going to make the overtake, or can Angelo, on a little bit older cars than Scott, can the Ferrari of Angelo stay ahead here?
Indeed. Scott is, as I say, closest battle on track at the moment. The DRS, obviously, this zone you're really not going to make many overtakes in unless you're close enough. But the thing is, you don't really want to make the move here, because if you make the move here, that means it gives the car behind you the DRS for the two zones for the rest of the track.
Yeah, I think Tom Gordon was very close to maybe losing the DRS there, so he's potentially might not get it this lap.
Has he kept hold of it, or has he not? No, he's out.
No, and obviously Shot Metal behind has got his rear wing open, so is that going to lead to any battles going into the chicane? Maybe not here, but is it going to lead in the near future, in the next few laps?
Angelo, meanwhile, still has... Angelo has spent most of this race just defending.
Yeah, and he's got Scott right behind him now as he goes.
He's going to make the move now. Scott sat behind for a few laps. Spins his spun.
Oh, that is very unexpected.
Tom Gordon's got a 3-second penalty up front as well.
Oh, that is very unfortunate for him as well. So yeah.
I wonder if Finn spun in his own, or if he had contact with Tom Gordon potentially.
I didn't see any, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm honest in this situation.
Potentially, could have just been the fact of the curbs. I mean, the curbs in this game are not the best.
Yeah, maybe it was...
Ah, righty, fair enough. Fair enough. Button saying rear diffuser damage and the car was undrivable. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate there, but yeah, hopefully it'll be a good outing next round.
Yep, round number 19 as we go towards the end of the season. We're in 23 race calendar in this league.
And Tom Pitts just about slows the car down there for the pit speed limit.
Hard compound tyres it's going to be for the Alpine driver.
And that puts Shot Metal into the lead now.
Yep, Shot Metal obviously we know has not come in yet himself, so he's going to be going a few more laps. I mean, he has got a little bit of open in his strategy in terms of he can go for mediums, or if he really wants to chance it, he can go for softs. But we obviously know the softs are not the best tyre on this game in terms of a race compound tyre.
He'll probably have to push the hard tyres for quite a few more laps if he wants those soft tyres. But who knows, if he can manage the tyres well enough, then yeah, that could indeed maybe be an option for him.
Indeed. As it looks, as I say, Shot Metal, who are currently on board with him, I mean, I was inherited lead at the moment, but he needs to get a gap in terms of making it work. Because we obviously know that it's a very short pit lane around here, so you don't lose nearly as much time as you really would think you would.
Yeah, that is very true, and obviously he could potentially, if for example a safety car was to come out now, he would very much benefit from that. And so yeah, it remains to see if indeed we get another safety car, or indeed it's going to be a straight run to the finish line from here.
Yep, obviously only the one safety car at the moment for, I believe it was XCR Senna who crashed at the World Champions. But at the moment looking good for, obviously we know Vapid he's not made too much ground yet. Obviously he pitted after the safety car, so he's kind of probably banking on our safety car coming out.
Yeah, and we've got Tom Gordon behind the Williams of SoFresh here, and he's not going to want to cause any trouble here, and he's not going to want to lose time at all. And is the Williams of SoFresh potentially going to help out his teammate of Vapid here by defending here from Tom Gordon, which he is perfectly entitled to do here in this situation.
Indeed, but look at the tyre. There's going to be a huge tyre grip difference. You're going to notice it coming out of this particular corner, because SoFresh is going to struggle to get on the power in 17 lap old tyres.
Yeah, look at that. He's
however,
side by side already, just about. But yeah,
just look at the grip difference that Tom Gordon has He's going to go right around the outside.
Yep, and
However,
DRS
oh,
overtake
so
as
fresh.
well.
Oh, so fresh tried it.
Yeah, obviously.
But Tom
these
Gordon was
two
having none of it.
constructors,
Oh,
1 and 2
there's
in the
the
championship, so there's obviously
Check onto the pits.
So Fresh isn't going to want to make it easy for Tom Gorian, but Tom Gorian has indeed now made that overtake, and he's going to be pushing on now and hope that that unfortunate penalty that he's got isn't going to hinder him too much in this race.
Yep, so at the moment we're looking at, so I think Shut Metal is going to come out about 6th or 7th at the moment. Round about that range I think is where he's going to come out.
Yeah, potentially. So, yeah. So, what lap do you reckon he is potentially going to be coming in?
It's going to be sometime soon. 18 laps on those tires. Look at I'm looking at the grooves on those tires, and there's some fairly deep grooves in those tires.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah,
he's
he
not who I thought he was
this
coming
lap.
in for a second. Nope.
But yeah, we saw.
Finn's obviously Finn's is in. Oh, it's a 5-second penalty.
5-second penalty, unfortunately for him.
Is he going to serve it here? No, he's not. Which means he has to get rid of it at the end. It's mediums again.
Serve it immediately after, unfortunately for him.
Hang on a minute. Finn started on mediums, didn't he? Did he use the hards?
I shall have a look at the race director too, if possible.
I don't know if he's used all the tyre compounds.
If it'll let me. So Finn's he started on hards and has gone to mediums.
Oh, okay, so he's used both
on another set.
On our set mediums. Okay, that's fine. He has used both compounds, so now he can probably go to the end.
Yeah, I would say that is pretty much going to be the case for him. So yeah, it's obviously 15-16 laps to go, so that should be able to get to the end from here. So yeah.
Yep. Well, Scott will inherit the lead when Shut Metal and Angelo behind him decide to pit. Obviously, we know Tom Gorian is catching. He's currently at the moment. I'm going to look at the leader. He's currently 16 seconds, 16.4 behind the leader at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes him to catch up. Obviously, a fair few laps still left to go, and anything can still happen.
Yeah, that is very much the case. And yeah, we've got the two Alpine cars line astern here in 4th and 5th, and just about Kirby with the DRS, but he's just about out of the range as we get to the next detection point.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be concerning because guess who is directly in the firing line behind him?
The man who is on the medium compound tyres, and yeah, that is
fresh medium compound tyres. The New Zealand driver versus the American in the Haas. That is going to be an interesting one to see how it goes. Obviously, two completely different sides of the world. Let's see how these two will do when eventually get close. This is going to be a very tactical game here for Kirby, because Kirby will probably want to hold up Finn's, because if he doesn't, there's going to be a big issue here for these guys here.
Yeah, obviously, the longer he can indeed hold up Finn's, the better it's going to be for his teammate Tom Gorian here.
I believe that is Shut Metal into the pits.
Yes, that
on
is
lap
correct.
21.
So yeah, I think the two Alpine drivers will be wishing each other on here and trying to defend as best they can.
Oh, Scott's in as well.
That is true. Yeah.
Angel's carried on.
He has, and he does now take the lead as well.
Benz, look at the pace he's got.
Yeah,
he doesn't have much battery. Kirby has even less battery than what he does. Shut Metal's come ahead of these guys, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
that's not going to be ideal for Finn's. Finn's is definitely going to have to clear this car as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting now because we've got cars on different tyre ages and different compounds as well.
Oh, he's going for it. He's going for it up the inside. And this, literally, fair enough. Fair play Finn's there for the move. That's a good move there. However, Kirby, oh no, I think Finn's got the DRS as well, so Kirby's not going to have an answer for that. Now, Finn's a second gap to Shut Metal. Shut Metal's going to have to get those tyres up to temperature, so it's going to be very important now for the Alfa Romeo driver up ahead to get those tyres up to temperature as possible. And as you can see, he's trying to weave to get some tyres heat into those tyres.
Yeah, that is very much a thing that happens. And Tom Gorian, he is within DRS of Angelo, who is leading the race.
He must be going for softs.
is he going to come in now, or is he going to stay out here?
No, he's staying out. This is
Yeah.
soft. I think this is a soft run for Angelo. This is a big gamble
Potentially,
for the
yeah.
Ferrari driver.
And Tom Gordon closing, side by side
He's gonna make it
and
easy.
he
I think
takes the
Angelo's
lead of
not
the
gonna make
race.
this difficult.
Yeah.
Yep, indeed he isn't. Kirby's into the pits, so on 20 lap old hards, he's on to mediums as well. So a nice easy run for the second Alpine driver at the end. Now Finn's been a good recovery drive, considering I believe Finn's has spun twice so far.
I believe so, yeah. So yeah, he's in fourth, and obviously right on the tail of third place shot medal in the Alfa Romeo.
The thing is now, Angelo could be a huge roadblock for shot medal because if he's got enough straight line speed, then he's going to struggle to get past. But Angelo, this is a big gamble. Oh, yellow flag. That's Scott.
Out. Oh my goodness.
Yellow. That's a safety car.
Yeah.
That is perfect for Angelo. And his prayers have just been answered right there, because now he can come into the pits and he can potentially go for a set of softs.
Yeah, another driver.
It's a big gamble though if he does decide to go for it.
Yeah, another driver who that has benefited is going to be Vapid in the Williams, because
oh, and in comes Tom Gordon.
Yep, Scott is one of his main championship rivals at this
Shot
point.
medal's carried on.
And yeah, so that's a
If
big
our Fins
moment
carries
in
on
the
as well, I
championship.
would understand that. Vapid's in as well.
Very big.
I believe Checo and that probably will be out as well. This is the thing with this track. I mean, you're very likely to see safety cars.
Yeah, obviously the
just to the
wall's
proximity of the
very close.
barriers.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that'll do to the race, and I think most drivers going on to the mediums now. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Checo's opted to stay out. That's a curious one in the hards for him.
Yeah. Obviously he feels that the track position is going to benefit him, but yeah, remains to see what happens there.
So Angelo is going to have no problem with those mediums to the end. He's on the freshest tyres in the field with Vapid. So he's going to be in a really good position if he has some pace.
Yep, Tom Gordon as well on fresh mediums.
Yep, Tom Gordon has to work his way through both Fins and Shut Medal, though that's going to be not an easy task.
Yeah, very true, and we now only have 3 drivers without penalties, so this could very much...
Shut Medal being one of them, actually, to
play
add.
into those drivers' hands, yeah.
Angelo as well. He can keep the pace up, and Vapid, the only 3 without penalties. I believe it's only 3 seconds for each of the drivers. I mean, that's quite a low penalty count for Canada, I'd say. Only 3 seconds.
Oh, so Fins has got 5 seconds, everyone else is 3 at this moment in time.
Oh yeah, so he's got 8. So has he got 5 or he's got 5 hasn't he?
Fins is on 5, and then everyone else 3 seconds.
Yep, so Fins can potentially get that removed if he has that under a delta. If he actually does need it.
And
Checo in the pits now.
Yeah, as well as Kirby.
Kirby in. I wonder if Kirby's going for softs.
Let's have a look.
It is soft tyres.
Softs for Checo.
For Checo. Kirby, it's mediums. That is a big gamble from Checo though. Those tyres are going to be feeling it by the end.
That is true. 10, 11 laps that's going to be, so... Is that
10 laps on those
just
tyres?
a few laps
That's a
too
big
many,
ask.
maybe? Yeah.
That's a big ask for those tyres. I'm going to
Obviously,
be honest.
he's going to be quick to begin with, but how long that's going to last?
How quickly will it drop off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I believe this is what's going to happen, is the fact of how quickly his tyres are just going to drop off. But if he doesn't weave his tyres, if he's careful about not weaving his tyres and only weaving when he has to, right at the end of the safety car coming in, then he should be fine. Because he needs to keep some grip back initially, and not use all the tyres at once.
Yeah, that is very true indeed. Yeah, we've obviously got Shot Mendel leading this race now, and that is Fins in second place.
This lap.
And yeah, safety car in this lap with Tom going
Shot
third.
Medal will lead will lead the pace, will lead the drivers off. So let's see what actually happens. I mean, obviously we've seen Shot Medal has the pace. Fins is also going to be looking for it as well. Tom Gorian, Angelo could be a potential cork in the bottle here, but this is going to be potentially quite an explosive final 10 laps.
Yeah. Yeah, basically a 10-lap sprint on the mediums, with the exception obviously of Checo, who has opted for the soft tyres.
Shot middle's gone.
Yeah.
He's already gone. He's gone early. And Finns has been caught out a little bit, so has Tom. Now this is very much, I mean, Finns is going to be the one that really wants to get himself as close as possible. We'll see a lot of ERS deployment from Finns here to get himself past. And it looks like Tom Gorian, with that safety car, he may have been costed a win here.
Potentially so. Obviously with the penalty, that's obviously not going to help him as we get to the end of the race. But can he produce a gap to the cars behind him as well?
Meanwhile, Kirby, that's the second penalty for him, clunking over the curbs, trying to get himself past Checo here. Checo's not got low. I don't think Checo did any tyre warm up there, so he's on a little bit of cold tyres at the moment. He's not been able to make the most of those tyres as of yet. And the Alpine at the back of the field at the moment is currently looking to try and make a move, but he's not got close enough.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to have the DRS for any of the drivers for another couple of laps, so it's just going to be pure ERS and straight line speed really for the
Checo now is now making a move on SoFresh, so he's going to be dropping SoFresh down a position here, I do believe. He's burning through a lot of ERS to try and make this move stick. He's not managed it.
Yeah, I think back out was probably a sensible move there in that situation, and yeah, up back to the front we've got Finns, just
SFR
very
Finns,
close
fast lap of
behind
the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. Finns and Checo. I think Checo tried to go for it, but he's not managed to make it stick. And he remains behind. However, Kirby has managed to get side by side almost.
Yeah, and another thing for Vapid is he is behind the Ferrari of Angelo once more in this race.
Yep, and Angelo again has completely out of DRS within the first lap or so, or DRS range I should say.
Yeah, unfortunately just not able to live with the pace of the front runners, unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, but can he defend from behind? And obviously there are penalties for drivers ahead, so if he can stay within a few seconds, he can still get a podium position as it stands.
And I believe Checo has lost a position at the back of the field to Kirby. Actually, they're going side by side. From the looks of it, here we go. Kirby using the ERS to try and get himself past. Probably Checo using his as well. Down the inside goes the Alpine driver. Is he going to be able to make the move stick into the final corner? Checo backs out of it. Oh, a bit of a clunk across the curb again for Kirby. He needs to be careful of those. But he does make the move stick. However, Checo is trying... Oh, that's the wrong way. Checo is trying to come back and he's not been able to make anything stick.
Yeah, very much the case there. And yeah, the soft is not quite having that advantage that maybe Checo would have expected, but he's still got a few more laps to try and take advantage, and possibly with the DRS this lap as well.
Indeed, obviously DRS being enabled on the lap. We'll have to see if it does help him out. However, DRS for both the cars in front and SoFresh, meanwhile, is currently being a bit of a blockade here for what is P6 at the moment. But doing his best job from Williams this season. Obviously, he's not scored many points this season, but he is still looking good.
Solid points for this race. Obviously, just only one position behind his teammates. So yeah, it's a decent job he's doing in this race.
Indeed. Kirby using all of the battery to try and get himself away. So is Checo. Checo on the soft compound tyres. Is he going to try and go around the outside or the inside? He shimmies from side to side. Once again though, nothing.
Yeah, and Finn's setting the fastest lap once more. Closing up to the back of Shuttlehead, but he's just not quite close enough to make the move as of yet. And side by side for 6th place.
Oh, and SoFresh has been dropped to P7. That's going to allow an opportunity for Checo. Checo needs to make the stick because he needs to stick with Kirby if he can, but he's not been able to do it.
Yeah, he just had to back out of the move there. Otherwise that might not have ended well. So he's kept his nose clean, but unfortunately he is still behind that Williams car.
Yep. He needs to clear it though soon, because this is going to be a bit of a problem here. SoFresh is on almost nothing on ERS deployment either, so that it's not really like there's much deployment. Is Checo, that's another penalty for him, that's 6 seconds I believe. So Kirby and Checo in 6 seconds, I believe everyone else on 3 with the exception of Finns, who has a 5-second penalty and is currently not being able to pull away at all. He's currently stuck in a train there, who could potentially drag him off the podium until penalties or appeals come in for that. Appeals come in for everything there.
Yeah, that is very much the case, and yeah, Finn's just not able
Round the
to get close
outside!
enough.
That is a beautiful move! Whoa, oh, I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah.
Oh!
Checo just unfortunately having to skip the chicane, and yeah, he's lost a little bit of time as well. Yeah,
Right,
and
so
we've
back
got
to the battle at the front.
yeah,
Oh, Finns!
another penalty.
That's a penalty.
Not
That's
going to
8
help
seconds,
his
so that's
cause.
Yep, that's why you got to be careful at the front here. Shut medal, not making any mistakes himself. Finn's trying to put the pressure on, but instead he's just put more pressure on himself.
That is going to help the likes of Angelo and Vapid, who are closing together a little bit here. So it remains to see if they will be having another battle in this race.
I wonder if it would be in the best interest for Vapid Angelo to let Vapid go and try and catch up, and then if he can't catch him up, then try and go for the move near the end of the Grand Prix potentially. I know they're in different teams, but
Maybe it depends if probably with the straight line speeds as well, that could come into play, and Angelo will potentially not be able to not want to give up track position.
he tried to go round the outside. He's going to be very close there, coming out this corner. Shut metal using a little bit of the deployment to try and get himself away. Yeah, red light flashing on the back of that Alfa Romeo car, showing that he is very low on deployment. So is Finson, I believe. So is Tom Gordon. No, Tom Gordon's on 40%.
Yeah, he's been sort of just sitting behind the front two, saving his ERS as much as he can, and he knows that if Finns can make the overtake on shot medal, Tom Gordon knows that if he can then make the pass on shot medal, then Tom Gordon would therefore take the lead of the race.
Indeed, I believe he also has a 3-second penalty, though I don't know if some of these drivers may well get penalties removed at the end of this, who knows.
Potentially, we don't know at this moment in time, but yeah, obviously that 3-second penalty, it will be frustrating for the drivers that do have penalties, but unfortunately you just have to stay clean with the track limits.
Indeed, you are correct on that, as it looks like, I believe Finns is, I think he's starting to struggle a little bit on those tyres.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe not, he's not managed to get close enough, as close as he has the last few laps.
Yeah, he is the driver who's on the oldest tyres at this stage in the race, so maybe indeed that is coming into play, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, because obviously 12 lap old tyres for Finns, 10 for Shut Medal, and then it's 8 laps for Tom Gordon. Obviously we know Tom Gordon came into the pits. Shut Medal now!
Shut Medal. So it's even between Shut Medal and Tom Gordon now.
Yep, that now means Tom Gordon needs to pass.
Yeah.
Try and get himself past. He probably would have seen that car's now been picked up. A penalty. Shut Medal. Maybe the pressure finally did get to him, and he's actually just picked up a penalty in just a little bit of a lapse in concentration. It's so easy to do around here.
That will be just what Tom Gordon would have wanted to see, and now he's going to be desperate to try and pick up the pace in these final few laps, and hopefully for him try and get side by side in the battle for the lead.
Indeed so. Tom Gordon is still saving ERS at the moment, so he used I think he expended a little bit there to get a little bit closer. At some point though, Finns, those tyres are going to start to scream at the Red Bull driver, and he's not going to have the same amount of grip he did though. Finns though is going to try, he realises he's going to have to make the move sometime shortly with that 3-second penalty potentially, and that 5-second penalty as well, which is going to drop him back probably out of the podium at this point in time.
Almost out of shape there, but he just about saves the car and stays within half a second or so.
The moment Finns would see himself drop off the podium, because Angelo in 4th doesn't have penalties, and he's about 4.8 back. 2.5 laps left to go, I believe. He's going to get the gap no, he's got it now. He's got the gap now, but he really, if Angelo can push, if he can get a little bit closer, Vapid doesn't seem to have pace, however, overtake Angelo, and I think those two are going to just, I think he may well just survive to get P3. Actually, he's got 8 seconds, actually, I've just realised.
Just been hovering just outside that DRS window, so yeah, he's going to, both the drivers actually are going to be pushing as much as they possibly can in these last couple of laps.
Yep. Oh, that's not the one I want. No, actually, he would drop behind Vapid at the moment because he's got 8 seconds.
Is he close enough this time around? I don't think he's
Nope.
quite close enough. Maybe.
Tom Gorian as well is
Yeah.
just sitting there, but the thing is, Tom Gorian, he's running out of laps.
Yeah, I think Tom Gorian, he would have been willing, Finns, to try and get ahead of Shot Medal in that particular moment, because that could have maybe given Tom a chance to make the overtake on Shot Medal on the final lap.
Yes, it's still very close though. Like,
Yep, anything can
you
still
could
happen.
it just depends on now. It's just at this point in time, you just need to not make mistakes, because any mistake now or any time penalty for any one of these drivers could now be very costly.
Yes, that is very much the case, and we see the gaps into the hairpin around 6/10 between first and second, and between second and third. So let's see if this turns into any battles here on the final lap.
Tom Gorian, he's closer now to Finns than what Finns is to Shot Medal.
Yeah,
Not much, but he is a bit closer.
it's going to be about who gets the best run out of the chicane here.
I think Tom Gorian may well use his ERS now, realising he's probably got a little bit more deployment than what the drivers he does around him. However, I think he was also on a red light in terms of the ERS not being that high in terms of deployment for the Alpine driver. I wonder if he's been costed potentially a win here with that penalty and the second safety car.
Potentially so, yep, as we head towards the second sector for the final time in this race. And it does look like, for the moment at least, it is going to be Shot Medal who will be in front, but is that going to last through the back straight and onto the pit straight?
This is where you're going to see potentially, obviously we've seen Finns make some daring moves. I wonder if he's going to really send it this time around. He's on the oldest tyres, though it's not stopping the Red Bull driver, even with the penalties hanging over his head. The Alpine or Tom Gorian is not going to get close enough. This is now Finns to try and make it stick. However, Shot Medal, this is very quickly closing. Why can't Finns do anything? He's not going to be close enough going into the corner. Can he get across the line? Can he actually get across? He's going to have to use the ERS. It's going to be close as he comes towards the line. It is just going to be Shot Medal, I believe, who just takes it. Tom Gorian is going to take P2. Obviously, we know Finns is going to drop out the podium just now. Vapid will get third. It will be third and fourth for Vapid. Obviously, we know that Finns could potentially come back up to that, but that was very close across the line between SFR Finns and Shot Medal. It couldn't have been more than 0.2 of a set, 1/10 of a second, maybe 1.5 tenths.
Yeah, that is very much the case, and a very dramatic race that we have seen here. And yeah, lots of racing throughout the field.
I'm inclined to agree with that driver of the day as well for SFR Finns, I believe. I know he got a little bit lucky with safety cars, but I believe he's done a great job.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
So SFR Finns gets driver of the day. It is going to be Shot Medal who takes victory, even with that 3-second time penalty. It will be provisional, obviously. These are just provisional results. Shot Medal will win the Grand Prix with Tom Gorian alongside, and it will be Angelo on the podium, keeping his podium streak going for the Ferrari team and carrying the Ferrari team, obviously, since JDM did crash out very early on in the Grand Prix. But yep, indeed. Well done, Alex. You made it to the end of the Grand Prix, though. At least it was a big race of attrition there, but congrats there to yourself there. I believe that is so fresh in the chat as well. But your race winner is Shot Medal. Tom Gorian and Angelo round out the podium. And then it is Vapid in fourth, with Finns dropping to P5 with those penalties. P6 for Team Kirby. Sorry about that. I was getting someone in the room. So it was Kirby was in sixth place with Sofresh in seventh. Checo rounds out the finishers. The non-finishers of the race, it was Scott on the Haas, the nearest rival to Vapid, so Vapid getting a few more points in the championship over his rival in the Haas. JDM in 10th with Tyrosig obviously in 11th, and Button and Senna round off the final non-finishers. So 13. We didn't expect that to be a race of attrition, really.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, the walls coming back to unfortunately bite a few of the drivers there. But yeah, nonetheless, we still got a very exciting race out of it.
Yep, it was a very good battle amongst the front runners in terms of the runners there.
That is very much the case. Yep.
Low battery. Plug that in. So, with that all said and done, we will now head into round number 19, which is going to take us to I believe it is Italy once again. I believe we have Italy up for round number 19. So we've already had, I believe it's Imola, yes. So we will head to the Cathedral of Speed, the Autodromo di yep, Monza. I'll probably get that pronunciation right at some point. But on that note, that will be it for the stream. And until next time, it has been me and Cal on the commentary for round number 18. We will see you for round number 19 in Italy at the Monza circuit. So if you have anything final to say, Cal, say it now and before we head out.
Yeah, hope you have all enjoyed, and yeah, see you all next time out for round 19 at Monza.